I'm Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take Two. Hey everyone, I'm Jenny. Welcome to Life Take Two. I know there's a lot of great stuff out there on YouTube. I always appreciate you stopping on one of my videos. It is February, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I personally feel like January 2026 has already been the longest decade of my life. But for those of you who are panicking over what MAGA has done in the world already, just in this first month into the year, I hope to put a smile on your face first thing, starting off the week here on Monday with this shocking upheaval. MAGA is panicking over what just happened in Texas. A special election was held for State Senate District number 9, and Democratic candidate Taylor Rehmet beat ultra MAGA Leigh Wambsganss by a lot. Trump won this district around Dallas-Fort Worth by a 17 percentage point spread in the 2024 election, and Democrat Taylor is estimated to have just won by 14% this weekend. To be clear, I don't necessarily think that this means it's a win for Democrats, although he is a Democratic candidate, but he's a very specific type of Democratic candidate. Taylor is an affordability candidate.
My mom always told me not to talk about money at the dinner table. Well, sorry, Mom, because this campaign is all about money. It's about how much we get in our paychecks, how much we spend on groceries and health insurance, how much we pay in property taxes. So while my opponent helps billionaires get richer, I'm fighting for you. I'm Taylor Rehmet, and I'm running for Texas Senate District 9 to make Texas work for you. See, Mom, sometimes it's okay to talk about money at the dinner table.
I'm Taylor Rehmet's mom, and I approve this message.
This is a win for the working class. I have a video on that coming up next week. I highly encourage you to do a little research on Taylor. He seems like exactly the type of person that I would love to vote for if I lived in his district. He's a veteran, a union leader, and ran on a platform of putting working class Texans first. So congrats, Taylor. Now get in there and get stuff done. You have a very short term before that general election next year. Back to the loser, Leigh Wambsganss. Leigh says in her bio that she's a Christian, a wife, a mama bear, a proven conservative, and she self-identifies as ultra MAGA, not just a little bit MAGA, not just regular MAGA. She throws that word in there, ultra MAGA. But I'll tell you what, I was laying in bed in the dark this morning at like 5 a.m., trying not to wake up Kevin, and thinking to myself, remember like back in the late 90s, those bracelets, the WWJD bracelets, what would Jesus do? I was just thinking, and call me crazy, but I think that if we had a WWJVF bracelet, who would Jesus vote for? Who would Jesus vote for in the Texas election? I think he would have voted for Taylor. And let me tell you why. I got to give you my bias disclaimer right off the top here. I am former MAGA, former Christian nationalist, former white supremacist, former Mormon trad wifey, and after 48 years in church, I am now an atheist. But today, my little atheist self is going to have a Bible study with all y'all right here. And we're going to talk about how Jesus would actually vote were he here and alive. Because when I was a MAGA Christian nationalist, I 100% thought that I was the party of Jesus. And I wanted to force my Jesus crap on everyone else because that seemed like the patriotic thing to do. But now that I'm a liberal, wine mom, feminist, woke, atheist, whatever, I realize that freedom does not mean micromanaging everybody else in the name of Jesus. Shocker. Have y'all been to the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas? Barbecue restaurants and churches everywhere. It's a very religious and well-fed place. In the middle of that religious place, where Trump won by 17 percentage points, Leigh just lost by 14 percentage points. And yes, she lost because Taylor's a better person. But also her loss might have had a little bit to do with this. During the nationwide Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, which was sparked by the Minneapolis police killing of George Floyd, which then fueled waves of racial justice protests, Texas resident Leigh, who's not even from Minnesota, made headlines for a Facebook comment in which she said, that Black Lives Matter demonstrators need to die. That is the quote. That comment was in response to a Facebook thread that called for prayer for the BLM protesters during that racial justice demonstration era that was sweeping the country following Floyd's death. This is the post right here. This is what she said. Sadly, they need to die, but they would still vote. Donald Trump still endorsed her after this Facebook comment, and he still endorsed her this weekend, knowing full well who this woman is. Here's a little bit more about ultra MAGA Leigh Wambsganss. She was a pageant girl, of course. All these MAGA women come from beauty pageants. She was a finalist in Miss Oklahoma in 1988, and then she was in a slasher film called Offerings, which is kind of weird. I don't know. She then fell in love with a firefighter and moved in with him. They did get married in 1993, but it didn't last long. In 1998, just a couple months after they purchased a big house in Texas together, they divorced. And coincidentally, 8 months later, she upgraded from her firefighter husband to Andrew Wambsganss. I personally think that this was a downgrade, but she was really excited about this. The two of them together are something, let me tell ya. Andrew eventually became the mayor of their town of Southlake, Texas, which I personally have spent some time in. I have some MAGA family that are, I believe, still in Texas today. They disowned me because I do what I do. I found this really funny. Leigh, of course, pushes gun rights. And in 2006, she took a 10-hour concealed carry handgun course that a local newspaper wrote about. And this is the most hilarious article I've maybe ever read in my entire life about anything ever. It's so great. Here's the description of this handgun class from this 2006 article. After the Pledge of Allegiance, a prayer and a Bible verse were read aloud. Retired Southlake Department of Public Safety officer and Eagle Masters Company president Malcolm Jackson began a PowerPoint overview. 16 Southlake area residents, 1/3 women, appear as noted in Isaiah 40:31. Neither weary nor faint. They are training so they can carry a gun legally. What the fuck was this article? I am so confused. The weird way that they just popped in that Isaiah verse there. Isaiah says that they were neither weary nor faint in their handgun class. Oh my God. Anyway, she made a splash as First Lady of Southlake for being like politically active against everything. The high school nearby had a few videos go viral on social media of students using the N-word. And what did Leigh do? She spoke out against what she called the woke liberals who were trying to address the rampant racism in that public high school. Now, her kids didn't even attend this high school. They were, of course, at a private school for rich white kids on the other side of town, and she didn't even live in the town where the high school was. She jumped in with both feet into this school board battle, and she basically won the entire thing. And the district tossed plans to address the racism. The school turned ultra right-wing overnight, and that got her national attention. She eventually got a job with this company called Patriot Mobile, which describes itself as America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They say on their website that a portion of every dollar earned is contributed to causes that support the First and Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military veterans and first responder heroes. They specifically donate a ton of money to Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA and the National Rifle Association. Yes, you can have your cell phone, and a little bit of every dollar that you're paying for that cell phone can go to buy Erica Kirk fireworks and sequined gowns and make sure that you have your gun. Anyway, Leigh just lost in a very, very, very red district that the Republicans have won forever to a Democrat. And I think Jesus would approve her loss. And I think it's time to bring back the WWJD. Again, I'm an atheist, so I personally want to get rid of religion, but baby steps. As an atheist, I personally don't mind people going to church as long as it's not corroding the social, political, economic stability of our entire country and the world. In fact, my honey is Christian, and I personally don't want him not to be Christian. It keeps him happy and feeling centered, and it keeps him well behaved. I personally support healthy, happy church going. This is not it. Leigh Wambsganss is in no way an example of healthy religion. And I am a little tired as an atheist of having to keep refereeing for Christians. But maybe atheists like me are the only voice of reason, because the church people, they're all too close to the situation to like really see it clearly. You know what I mean? Y'all, I'm going to simplify this for you. It all boils down to this. What would Jesus do? Not what would Trump do? What would your Texas pastor do? What would the ladies of your Texas book club do? What would Charlie Kirk do? What would the weirdos over at Fox News do? No, none of that. Jesus. Well, Jesus said in Mark 7:6, well hath Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. If we're comparing hearts here, I feel like Taylor wins. Jesus would have voted for him. Jesus said, feed my sheep, not fight the wolves. He could have said, fight the wolves, like just be out there fighting everybody all the time. He didn't say that. That's not what he said at all. He said, feed the sheep. We know a little bit about what Leigh's been up to. Meanwhile, Taylor is the president of the Texas State Council for the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, a major labor union. That means he spent years organizing workers, fighting for better pay, safer work conditions, and stronger rights on the job, which directly supports working class people in Texas. He's also a U.S. Air Force veteran and focuses a lot on issues affecting veterans in his community, including access to health care, nutrition, job opportunities, support services. I think that's exactly what Jesus was talking about right here with his feed my sheep. A key moment in Christian mythology happens towards the end of the Christian Bible, where they ask Jesus, like, basically, what is your brand all about? If people say, hey, what was Jesus's deal? Then we're going to say, what? And they ask him that. And he says, by this, will everybody know that you are my followers, that you apprenticed or discipled with me? You guys know what I'm going to say if you've read your Bibles. If ye have love one for another, right? Love one another. And it's not just what the Jesus character says in Christian mythology there. It's what he didn't say that's also a big deal, because he could have said, be Christian soldiers, get out there and fight against everybody. He could have said, people are going to know that you're my disciples because you scream the loudest from the rooftops about the gay people or whoever, right? There's a bunch of stuff that he could have said that he didn't say. What he did say was, love one another. That's how everybody's going to know that you're my disciples. Just love the Black kids at the high school, for instance, and make sure that they feel safe and supported throughout their school day. Love the gay kids, love the immigrants and the poor kids and the single moms. All the people Leigh fights against, Taylor fights for, and I think that Jesus likes that stuff a lot. Another Bible verse, judge not at all. In Greek, this is me krinete, hina me krinteha. And this Greek root is a phrase that absolutely condemns judging or critiquing or condemning other people. Babes, I mean, Jesus would not have voted for Leigh's judgy ass at all. There's just no way. Listen, I think it's time for y'all Christians to start doing what we atheists do every day, which is use some common damn sense. I had a friend who skydived all the time. He's still alive. This story isn't about him. But one weekend he was jumping out of planes up in Phoenix, and a lady's son took her skydiving for her 50th birthday. The chute was packed wrong and they died. They were tandem jumping. The chute didn't come out. I feel like some of y'all Jesus people are diving into the world full speed ahead, fighting gay rights and single moms and free healthcare and just fighting everything. And your chutes are packed all wrong and it's not going to end well. By the way, first baptism in the New Testament was a trans from Ethiopia, surgically transitioned, which is what a eunuch is. Nobody taught me that in Sunday school. And as my audience knows, I used to be one of y'all MAGAnettes, and it was a miserable place to exist in. I spent the last 7 years of my life repacking my chute with kindness, compassion, respect, respect for all life, not just white Christian embryos. And not only am I happier, but so are the people around me because I'm not an asshole anymore. It might just be time for you to unpack a few things and just be a better person. WWJD and then also WWJVF. I think we need that bracelet. Maybe I should make it. Let me know if you'd buy one. And if you're a woke liberal like I am now, and you are experiencing presidential affective disorder this winter, January's over, but it's already bleeding into February, and that doom and gloom is dragging you down, have hope. Don't stop resisting. This is a tortoise and the hare type of race. We are playing the long game here. We got to keep fighting, but have hope. If Jesus was real, I feel like he'd be excited today. He'd have just a little bit of a spring in his step. He'd be glad that this asshole in Texas lost. I'd love to hear what you think about this topic. I'll be hanging out in the comments. And Wednesday night at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I will be live streaming with Rich, the founder of Leaving MAGA. He'll be giving us some stats on how many people are currently fleeing the sinking MAGA ship and also sharing his personal story. I'll also have an interview with him that I'm dropping on Tuesday. And if your Valentine is dreaming of a Patriarchy Sucks t-shirt or a Spread Toxic Empathy hoodie, the link for all my merch is in the description. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great week. Mwah.